at this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Forrest to lead us. I know he's got some reason to be thankful for, so.
Most gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to gather here to do the business for the people of Limestone County. Help guide and direct us to do the right things for everyone concerned. Lord, pray for the people in our situation. Let it come to an end and help our troops that might be over there that might end up in harm's way. God, guard them and protect them. And as always, protect all our law enforcement officers. In Jesus' name, I pray.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
I'd like to welcome everybody today to the meeting. Roll call show with all commissioners are present. At this time, we have any citizen comment. All right, we'll move along to the consent agenda. I hope I've had a chance to review this. And if there's any questions or discussion, we can talk about it right now. If not, we will entertain a motion to accept them.
Motion will be accepted.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. We're going to move a few folks up here in a minute, but we're going to get through a few things first. Let's go ahead and accept for record the required monthly operational report for county officials. We'll go down the line. I'm looking for county officials all over the place. Let's see here. Bill, you got anything? You
I have
good?
a list.
Huh?
I have a list
Oh,
of things. The projects we've been working on, we talked about a little bit last time, of course, our sound system that was installed has been done, and the people came back, there was not a problem, but there was some adjustments to be made, and the guy came back and took care of that for us, so the sound system is all intact. The washer rack roof that we talked about is being done, being finished as we speak, probably. Put the metal on this morning, and that was, the material labor for that was donated by one of our individuals here in the county. And he wanted to remain anonymous at this point, but we'll get to that later. I put some information in front of you on the fans and the sewer dump that we've been talking about. The fans for inside the building and the sewer dump. Y'all can consider that. I don't know how far along we are with that or not, but anyway. The last one is the RVs, and you said that we have not heard back from the electrician that we've been talking to. What we're doing, we're working on putting in 20 more RV spaces, RV connections. So, anyway,
okay, thank
you
you.
have any questions?
Ryan, you have okay. I don't want to forget anybody. Chair.
Yes, sir. For the month of February, we had 55 hours of transporting for a total of 2,200 miles, cost of $2,300 or so. And we brought in $3,700 in fees and other revenue. I don't have the jail count this morning. We have a few more coming in from Leon County. There's still 5 short in the jail, even though we've hired 2 or 3 new people that have started. We've got one that's finishing up a judge academy today or tomorrow. We'll take the test first part of next week, so hopefully that'll help also. There's something else on the jail, I can't remember. Oh, may have another county needing contractor to house a few more inmates, so hopefully I'll bring that to you all in the next couple of weeks. Try to get that side.
Okay, if there's not any discussion or questions, we'll go ahead and approve for record these monthly reports.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? We'll move along then to, receive and approve a safety report concerning any actions or safety concerns in the past month. I'll defer over to Commissioner Friday.
We have not had any accidents to report. So I make a motion that we approve the safety report with no accidents for the month of March.
I move that we approve the safety report for the month of March.
You want to second it?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is that a second?
Yes, I'll
Okay. All right. We do have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? That'll pass. Let's go ahead and visit about the burn ban. I know that talked with Matt and all the fire departments are hoping that we keep it up for a while longer. So I know we've had a little bit of moisture, but still, the grass is so dry from the freeze that they're asking to leave it on. Matt, your recommendation is leave it on?
Yes, sir.
I'll leave it to y'all.
Absolutely, leave it on.
Yeah.
Second.
All right, we won't, we'll just go ahead and pass it then.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and we'll stay in order for a second. Accept for record the 2021 racial profiling reports for constables of precinct 1 and 3. Y'all got a chance to look at the racial profiling reports that we have to send in. We're going to make those official. Okay.
I'll second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? That motion will pass. Item number 11 is discuss the action on Limestone County Airport. Let me give you a little background on that. We had a contract with the airport, and then sometime there was a renewal of the contract, and so it's now ran out. Mr. Buddy Miller's here today. I visited with Mr. Miller. At one point in time, he was of the opinion that he could not continue on under the circumstances of the last contract, and wrote a list of suggestions or recommendations on what he felt would be prudent. And it was going to cost the county, after everything was said and done, about $80,000 to $90,000. What we had to start picking up. 30 of that, or 35 of that, was the secretarial, which we might could have absorbed some of that. But anyway, bottom line was, it was my intention that we were going to probably put this out for bid, and that's what I was intending to do. However, talked with Buddy about we got our wires crossed somewhere. Is that a fair statement, Buddy? He said that he had told me that he'll just go ahead and keep it like it is, the contract that we have right now, and just renew it. And I'm for that. That's what I was hoping we could do, at one point. I will say there are some things that I feel like are, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'd like to see it done. Whether you do it, the county does it, I'd like for you to do it if you get this. But that's going to be hangars at our airport out there. Ever since I was flying back in I don't know, buddy, around 1980, I started flying. I think we always wanted hangars for these airplanes, and that's something that I think we need to put on the front burner. And so I'm going to say that I don't know what we have to do it, but we need to get that on the front burner. And so I know we've got some folks here that are interested in the airport. When Buddy came to me last week, he was asking for a lengthy contract. I don't know that we would be interested in doing that, but I'll leave that up to commissioners if y'all want to. Bobby, you had an idea. What do you think?
Well, I thought we would renew the contract for 1 year.
Okay.
And let everything clear, and we talk about the hangars. People will go out, my understanding, and build the hangars at their cost, and with a lease for X number of years, then it becomes a property of the county. And years from now, when it doesn't affect any of us, maybe some of these younger guys, Limestone County will be reaping some benefit from that. But then, 1 year with an option for Mr. Miller to renew for a second year, so that'd be almost a 2-year guarantee for him, which would be the coming year and then the option for him to renew at the same time. And that's what I would recommend.
I disagree with that. 1 year,
But.
Well, you actually
Hang on
need
just a second.
to,
Hang on just a second, Mr. Miller, if you don't mind. Do you want to talk to him about it? I mean, this is the toughest part of my job right here. And that is, this is a commissioner's court meeting. It's an open meeting, but not an open forum, so I can't just let anybody speak. As rude as that sounds, I want to, but, because that's the way we're raised, not to be rude, but if you'll just bear with us a second, I'm sure, anybody might ask you a question or something, or ask you if you'd like to speak at that time.
but and I will.
Okay, please.
What is it you would love to have? I mean,
well, I was expecting the present contract that we've got is a 10-year lease.
okay.
I was expecting that would be renewed at this meeting.
I don't know that we want to tie up anything for 10 years. I know that you contemplated retirement, or at least that's been the understanding that I've had. If that's incorrect, then correct me. But if we did a 1-year lease with an option for you to renew at one at your discretion, we would be tied for 2 years. You would only be tied for 1. But if you exercise your option, then you would have a second. I just don't see us getting any further out than 2 years on there.
Well, I think it's totally unacceptable.
Okay.
For a business, I got $1 million business. For a 1-year lease, nobody would ever have.
You've been operating without any lease.
On something like that.
You have been operating without any lease since contract expired.
Well,
But you actually gonna understand, you're gonna have 2 years. You're gonna have a guarantee of 2 years. 1-year lease with an option for you to renew. If you wanna do a 2-year lease with no option, I would be fine with that, be the same thing. The only thing it would hurt would be you, because at the end of 1 year, you couldn't opt out. Now, if you do a 2-year, then you're gonna be there for 2 years. But if you do a 1 year with an option to renew for a year, you're guaranteed 2 years. I mean, the 1 year with an option to renew for 1 more year is to your advantage, not ours. If you want to do a 2-year lease, I'd be okay with that. But I'm not in favor of a 10-year lease.
okay, another thing.
I want to see some improvement on the hangar stuff.
Another thing that we could do is also, one thing that you could consider is actually saying, look, we're gonna put this out for bid and see if it can improve to the county. And I know Buddy and I talked about it. I'm looking at what's best for the county. I know Buddy's thinking about what's best for Buddy, and I don't blame him. I would be too if I sat out there. But it might be time to put it out for bid and say, look, this is what we're doing. We've already had some interest, people approaching me wanting to improve what the county would get, but it just makes more sense for Buddy to have it.
Well, that's my idea,
And
for
so,
us to extend this for a couple of years.
and another thing is I want to make sure in this contract that Buddy, I may be speaking out of turn and maybe I didn't hear you correctly, but if I understand correctly, it is for sale. Is that correct, or is it not anymore?
Well, I'd like to have somebody that would take me out of it, but there again, the commissioner has to approve the people that comes in.
And we want to make sure that that's not we have to worry about any long-term leases. I'm going to put in the contract if we go that way, that 6 months from now, your lease upon sale would be over.
You're the final judge on that.
Okay.
It's in the contract. I don't see any problem with the renewal of the 10-year lease.
Okay.
And I'm not real sure, if I could find somebody that would come in with a 1-year lease with an option for 2, that would work.
Okay.
So it's
They
for my
have to-
benefit,
They would have to
and it's for your
negotiate.
benefit.
They would have to negotiate with commissioners, like you said. Does anybody else have anything else they want to speak of or talk to about this? Any of the commissioners have any questions on this? If not, I'll ask ask if anyone wants to make any recommendations as far as a contract with the Limestone County Airport.
I'd like to renew the contract with Mr. Miller. But let me ask a question first. Would you prefer, assuming that the offer we made, you accept, would you prefer a 1-year lease with a 1-year option? Or would you prefer a 2-year lease? And the one with one option is definitely to your gain, definitely to your gain.
1 year with one option.
Okay. Judge, I'd like to make the motion to renew the contract with Mr. Miller as it's been for 1 year with an option for him to renew an additional year at the same terms.
Okay? So we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion will pass. And we'll get that, it'll be next week before I can get it together, so. Anyway, let's go ahead then and, see who else we have here. I think we've got, I'm gonna move down to, well, he'll be here too. Got 2 items from now, so I'm gonna stay, just so I don't screw up. Let's go ahead and go to the next item, which is gonna be item number 12, and that is discuss take action on airport hay cutting bids. As you can see, we got 2 bids, for that. I hope y'all had a chance to look at them. I'm assuming, that they did meet all the requirements, or they would be here. So what's your pleasure on the hay cutting?
Who currently has the contract?
The W3 custom paving.
I know last year it was almost a coincidence, I hope. They left that hay out there for a long time. And I know Buddy called and said, hey, look, I'd like for that hay to get up and moved, and I like to take full credit for getting that done. But when I called them, they said, we're gonna be doing it the next day or two, so. I won't take all that credit.
6,400 repairs.
Yes.
I move that we approve the February custom hay bale banning contract.
That's a motion. Do you have a second? Any other discussion on the side? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, let's go to item number 13, discuss and take action on a request for amendment of the plat of the Kathy Caraway Place, Michael Peterson. We have it before us here, if I understand correctly, and the one I looked at is that they're primarily trying to put 2 pieces of land together. Gary, do you have anything to add to this?
No.
Okay, it's just, they're asking our permission to put this together, so.
So I guess, I've got a question as far as people put things together all the time, but like what, are they wanting to change like deed restrictions or anything like that?
They got 2 pieces of property.
They thought, I guess 2 lots beside one another, they just wanted to
Make
put it.
it one.
I don't know that we've ever not done this one that they've asked, frankly, so. Anybody have an objection to doing this?
This precinct, is it? It's in mine. I move that we accept the replat of lots 1 and
We do have a motion.
I'll second that.
We do have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That pass. I'll sign it a little bit. I got to sign it. All right, let's go ahead then and go to item number 14. That's discuss and take action on fuel solar farm. I've got Austin here coming up and visit with us a little bit about what this entails. I know you've been here before, but we kind of stopped for a while with all the activities in Limestone County. Tell us what you do.
So my name's Austin Willis. I'm with a company called Belltown Power Texas. We're a renewable energy developer out of Dallas. Been around about 6 years now, focused on really the counties around DFW and kind of I-35 corridor. Different approach to solar than what you typically think, where it's south and west Texas. And when we started, we were one of the first doing that. We've done about 2 dozen projects now that are in various phases of either operation or construction or late stage development. And this is one of the late stage projects that we're working on in development. We now at this point, we have a ground lease with Mr. Robert Fuel for 1,203 acres southwest of Groesbeck on County Road 633. We're connecting into that Encore transmission line that runs through his property. We think it's on the low end, $150 million investment, on the high end, $200 million. So pretty large investment on currently agricultural land. It's a solar project, so it's very low profile. At the highest point, the panels are 12 feet off the ground, but they're fully tilted either east or west, depending on time of day. And we're targeting a spring 2024 operations date, so hopefully in the next year, we'd be starting construction, and that's about another year of construction before commercially we're selling the power to the grid. One issue we had was there was some mineral rights that Mr. Field didn't own. We're actually right now getting those waivers signed as we speak, so that was kind of the last kind of red flag for development, what do you think? And we're finishing up the studies now with Encore. Hopefully in the next 5 to 6 months, those will be back and kind of green light for the project.
Okay, so if I understand you correctly, you'll be filling an application out with us.
Correct.
You'll be giving us the deposit. You'll be agreeing to pay all the legal fees of it.
And sorry, I don't know the deposit, what's the deposit?
We generally just granted an application fee.
Okay, gotcha, yeah, that's fine.
And Ashley helped me out, remember how much it was? Anyway, and then if I understand correctly, then you're gonna be asking us to consider some form of an abatement, whether it be an actual true abatement or a payment in lieu of tax abatement.
That's correct, yeah.
So then we would once again have to decide if we wanted to have a reinvestment zone for that 1,200 acres.
Correct, yeah.
And then we would decide if we do that, then we almost automatically do some form of an abatement.
And it's not guaranteed you have to do both if you do the reinvestment zone. We're engaging with a consultant right now to talk to Groesbeck ISD about the 313 side of the abatement. So it'd be helpful if you guys did the reinvestment no matter what, just that way the school district didn't have to do that. But if you guys did for some reason kind of touch on that, we would have to go to the school district to do the reinvestment.
And how far would this be off the road?
So we would have our fences on the property line, just for a liability standpoint.
That
And then we would set back 30 feet inside the fence is kind of where our equipment would start.
So you'll see it going right down that road.
If you're on 633, yeah, that'd be pretty hard to miss.
Any other questions, gentlemen?
Again, right now, this is just for information.
I know that we want to do what's best for Limestone County, and one of the things that helps us is finding other ways to generate revenue for Limestone County. I think we've all done a good job of that so far, and some of it at a cost of having to look at some other windmills going down the road. This, I don't know, is as obtrusive as the windmills. I know they're not. Do they have any flashing lights or make any noise or anything like that?
No, they're,
Other than seeing them drive by.
yeah, I mean, that's the appeal of them is they're not really moving parts. I mean, they slowly track the sun. So, if you stand there long enough, you'll see them move, but, that there's no moving parts like the windmill. They're max 12 feet off the ground. Most of the time they're between 7 and 10 feet off the ground. And they all connect to one central point where we connect to the grid, and that's really the whole thing.
Okay. Do you need us to take any action today or just
I think,
either say yea or nay as far as moving forward?
yeah, I think that would be helpful for me, just talk to my boss and investors.
I'd love to hear from the commissioners what y'all think. I know that we kind of decided we probably weren't gonna go with any more windmills.
Yeah, kind of.
It's in your area? I thought you said it was southwest.
It's just southwest.
633.
It's not far down the road.
No, it's a few miles. And one thing we've done in counties like Hill County, for example, with the county roads, obviously that'd be our main access to get to the site. And with construction vehicles, lots of trucks, understand that to be a concern. So what we've done in abatements in the past is had provisions in there for if there's any damage to the road from construction or operations that we would be responsible for.
Sure. We do a road use agreement that we would go on. But you don't see the kind of trucks that are windmill, and the damage, I would think.
There are a lot of trucks. I mean, they're bringing in thousands of panels, so it's a lot of trucks. They're not quite as heavy as, the wind.
They're not long.
Right.
Are there very many residences out there?
633.
No, I believe Mr. Fuel's land, the way it's shaped, is either there's roads on both sides,
sides.
or on the neighboring land, it's all fields for quite a while. So, no, there's not really any houses that I can't think of next to the project.
Show my ignorance here, is this all high fenced?
Yeah, there'll be probably 6 to 8 foot tall fence.
Okay, and so forever, as long as it's there, be no livestock in it at all.
Likely no, yeah. I mean, there's some that's being experimented on, having like sheep and stuff grazed, but we operate that there won't be any livestock. Just from an investing standpoint, it's tough to do anything as the first in renewables. So going with the status quo is an easier way to get something financed.
And let me say this, Bob. For the record, we're in one right now, in the northern part of the county. One of the things that I want to remind you is that the day y'all start the project, that land immediately reverts back to commercial use and not ag use.
Correct.
So the county would start getting that money right from the beginning. The second thing that I've always said, I do this all my heart, I have the toughest time telling someone what they can and can't do on their land. And so I have to remember that all we're doing is deciding we're gonna give you a discount on the project as far as taxes go, which we've already given that 1,200 acres a discount, if you will, for being ag. So I don't see any way that it's not just a big amount of money coming in for Limestone County.
And for us, there's, as you know, hundreds of these type of projects being developed across the state. When we go to the big banks in New York with the presentation of here's this project to finance it, they have a checklist, and whatever we don't hit on that checklist puts us at a disadvantage to the parties that do have everything checked. And one of them is a county tax abatement.
I think right now, if you were drilling for actual gasoline, you'd be in all four of them. I personally would say, me personally, I don't speak for them, but so I'd like to hear from y'all. I'd like to see us move forward with it. Anybody have any objections to them going forward to the next step?
Why not just ask the school district for the reinvestment zone? Like some places are doing that. I know that Coolidge just did it for the windmills.
Yeah,
Take it off of the county's plate.
it's more that the time frame is the same, public notices are the same. It's just the school district meets once a month for their board meetings, so it's just more of a timing thing that makes it a little bit easier.
I'm sure they could have a special meeting.
Well, we're 5 months out too, so before you ask for how long before you ask for the reinvestments?
I mean, if we could get something in the next 30, 60 days, I think that would be ideal.
Well, and let's be clear about it. One thing that I did find out from Coolidge is we don't do the reinvestment zone unless we are intending to get some form of a place of some type. we learned that, I think this idea is gonna do it. So if y'all are, as far as who gives the reinvestment on, I don't know if that's, what we're asking ourselves right now is, because we can't say anything about you coming. You can come, no matter what. But what we have to decide is, are we willing to give up, some tax dollars for y'all to come? And once again, as I keep reminding myself, that land's already getting an exemption for agriculture. So we can't do anything but improve the value for Limestone County. And when that happens, we don't worry about, I say we don't worry about, we do, but we buy things like police cars, identities, we help the show barn, and I can tell you right now, there's lots of things we can do with that money. So let me just ask you, is anyone opposed to it? Let me just put that question out to the commissioners.
Out here.
I'm not opposed to it, I might, help some of the tax abatements.
So that's what I'm asking right now. If we're saying no, we're not gonna get any tax credits anymore, then, there's no sense in even going forward, they'll just come if they want to come. This is my thought.
I personally don't like the solar farms or the wind farms personally, but again, I think what Judge Duncan said, it's not, the land does not belong to us, and I feel like it should be the property owners that decide.
I agree with that, but I think one thing that we're missing out is we need to have, what would the difference be if we gave the pilot versus if we gave just one straight taxes? I think sometimes we miss that information to see what the difference would be. And Stacy Hall would probably be somebody that we could reach out to see where that.
I agree with you,
Even
and I would
if
like
they
to.
pull
Right.
the ag exemption, and one with the ag exemption.
So what everybody's saying is we're want to entertain doing some type of abatement and support the farm to be brought back to us in that 60-day frame you're talking about.
And I can put together some more information on what the taxes are right now. They're agricultural taxes, so it's pretty minuscule.
Yeah, that'd be easy.
But
But then what the tax would be, your statement says what the value is of your investment's gonna be.
correct.
But let's make sure we understand one thing. We won in Coolidge. And it's just like rolling dice.
I know.
And we could say, it's gonna be easy to figure out that if we give a pilot versus them just paying full taxes, they're not gonna have to pay as much. They're not gonna have to pay as much. I think we're still gonna get way more than we're getting right now, even on the pilot. And that's where,
Yeah,
that's the area that I'm hoping that he was saying,
Yeah.
and not if you were just paying full taxes on a commercial venture.
and that amounts to negotiable
Right.
at this point. So
Exactly.
what I'd like to say is that we're interested in bringing us back the additional information.
Yeah, there's no way that even if you did a pilot, that it would be less than or equal to what you're getting today.
Oh, no, absolutely. It'd be a substantial increase.
I think from what I heard, without taking an official vote here, I think you can figure out from there. What do you think?
Perfect, yeah. Is there an application that you guys have?
We have some that companies give us now. Y'all don't do an application.
We can put together the normal information. I just was wondering if you had a form.
We do. But we can talk about that. All right, any other questions for this project? Austin, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
We won't take any action on that. Let's go to item number 15. This is an item that is awful hard, because I don't think we ever budget this kind of money. We don't need budget for this, do we? I couldn't think of one, and we actually got one coming for next month asking for some money, so.
We have budgeted for the child welfare. Or it's a small amount.
But I've got next month, next meeting, we're gonna be hearing from the Heritage Festival. Today, Laura's house, is asking for a donation. And it's almost to the point if you say, well, we're not gonna do it, but then you say you're against it all. And, well, you're just not saying that, it's just, they did not ask, they didn't say amount to me.
Could this be something that we could, on the bottom of this, I think we're talking about some, that revenues that we got in was 2.2, would that be something that we could table and talk to?
We got, let me just say this, Natasha, you don't have it probably, but we have a lot of unanticipated revenue this year.
We got,
We have a lot.
with the extra money from what we got from the
Road,
project.
we got the Gary Kennedy sold us some stuff. We got over 100,000 there. We've actually got, October, November, December, January, February. We got at least 5 months of LCDC money above what we budgeted. So if we made a donation of any kind, I think we're certainly gonna find the money. It's just that we don't budget this, and this is something that I don't know that it would be good to openly against.
And we still have funds available in contingency.
But you know what I'm saying on this? How do you then turn someone else down? That's the hardest part is, and it could be, the national, chess tournament coming to town and they're wanting money. I don't think that's the same as Laura's house, but, we have to kind of put our hearts on this, if you will, if that makes sense. So I'll leave it up to y'all if y'all want to actually donate some money.
We will be opening the gates to, as a businessman in Mahia, Texas. People walk in the door every day asking you to donate to the most district fund run or something for July 4th, and it's just on and on and on, and you almost become like a hotel motel type thing. And if we do this, which they definitely need help, they always need help. If we do this, we're opening that door to every time somebody has a fundraiser to approach the county, just like any other business. It sure could get us out there in a precarious position.
Well, it had to set up for the next person.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Is anybody here representing Lawrence House Scissors?
Anybody here representing Lawrence House? I don't see anybody.
I know they lost the building, which caused all this. Did they have insurance, or does anybody know?
I don't think.
I don't think
I know we didn't have.
The building, and also some animals,
It's a sentimental deal,
it's tough. And I
especially when
think,
you're adult.
I would love for us to say, yeah, let's give them a couple $1,000, but then I don't know how I feel.
Well, they're local too, so it's, some people come and ask us for stuff that aren't local, and I think it's easier to take care of our local people than it would be, but I will say this, Laura's House always seems to need something. I get asked for donations, I get letters when they want to do it, and again, I asked about the insurance thing too, you brought that up. A separate conversation, is their insurance not covering this? So,
I mean,
I think, Judge, the more appropriate time to handle something like that would be at budget time. We subsidize the recycling center, both libraries, Benny Moffitt and the Gibbs Memorial. We subsidize the volunteer fire departments and the ambulance services. And Lawrence House providing a service for the county in that it's the only place to take pigs in the county.
that's a good point.
That we might pass it now, and I realize it's a long way, but money's money. When we're working on the budget in August, we might put something in there similar to the amount that we've got in the recycling center.
I was not the county judge. Were you on when the Lawrence House came about? And originally the county was donating some money.
No, it came on just a little bit before. I came on 2010, I think Lawrence House started about 2008. But at that time, they were having fundraisers and making a lot of money, and they quit doing that, to my knowledge.
Is there anybody else that's working in the county taking in animals like that? Or is it on anybody?
I'm not aware of anybody else.
Oh, yeah, if you live in the country, you end up with several. But I would just propose that, not to open that bag of worms and just donate because somebody requested, to look at it at budget time and maybe doing a little something.
I agree, I think that's what we should do.
And put it in for every year.
Yeah, from that point
From
forward.
that point forward, all the way to Laura's house,
Unless we
something.
got thrown hard times and took it out of the budget. But I don't wanna turn them down, but I don't see us giving money right now. I just think it needs to be a budget item that we do.
Don't forget, we got people next month coming too, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when we do budget down, we'll decide what we can do.
Okay. And I would anticipate, once it gets out of budget time, we're gonna be having a list of people that are wanting to get on.
Well, I hope not.
All right, I'll leave it up to y'all if you want,
They do provide a service to the county.
that's what I'm thinking, you know, and really, I didn't think about it that much, but they are providing a service to this county. So I really wouldn't be opposed to, maybe trying to find
I said that
something for them.
we give them some money and then we add it into the budget,
Yeah,
I'd be okay with that too.
just something.
but,
We're gonna be actually fixing in on the next one.
this, I think we're agreeing on that. What's the amount that you're thinking about? Sonny, did they approach you?
No, I talked to them about it, I told them all.
What, did they say?
No, no amount, that was just, anything.
Well, I know this, I'll tell you, they sent me and asked me for $500.
Okay.
For my personal business.
I'm gonna make a motion that they, out of contingencies or whatever y'all decide to take out, that we donate $1,000 and then we look at them as possibly adding in the budget.
All right.
22.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That'll pass, okay. All right, number 16, need to discuss take action on a resolution electing, to select a nominee to serve as a member of the Heart of Texas Regional Sexual Assault Team representing Limestone County. I have the resolution here. Basically, what it is we've all joined together with all of the other counties, form this hot cod, one that is doing it, and we have, I'll go ahead and read it real quick. A resolution of the Limestone County Commissioners Court electing to select a nominee to serve as a member of the Heart of Texas Regional Sexual Assault representing Limestone County. Whereas in the interest of establishing a process for investigating and prosecuting sexual assaults through a client-centered and trauma-informed approach, the Texas Local Government Code, Chapter 351, Chapter J, Section 351.252, mandates that the Commissioners Court establish an adult sexual assault response team, whereas the adult sexual assault response team consists of experts in to improve the practice in the investigation and prosecution of sexual assault, while also prioritizing the health and safety of survivors. The Texas Local Government Code, Chapter 351, Chapter J, Section 351.252 mandates the Commissioners Court appoint key members to the sexual assault response team, whereas Limestone County previously exercised its right to partner with the other counties in the region by participating in the Heart of Texas Regional Sexual Assault Response Team. And whereas Limestone County District Attorney Roy Freeman requested that Limestone County Assistant District Attorney Beth Tobin, Limestone County Victim Advocate Glenn Sloan, and Sexual Assault Nurse Examiner Wanda Sissy Roark be appointed to the Commissioners Court to serve as a member of the Heart of Texas Regional Sexual Assault Response Team. And now for be it resolved that the persons are hereby appointed by the Limestone County Commissioners Court to serve on the Heart of Texas Sexual Assault Response Team representing Limestone County. That's going to be, of course, Beth Tobin, Glenn Sloan, and Wanda Sissy Roark. At this point in time, I will ask a motion to approve this resolution appointing those folks.
I make a motion that we appoint Beth, Glenn, and Wanda to the sexual assault team.
Okay, we do have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
We do have a second. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay. Let's go ahead now and go to item number 17. Discuss and take action on purchase of skid steer. I know we've talked about this in the past. And the main reason we get this, I think, we're trying to find a way to help improve the roads. Am I right about that? I know, Jerry, I would let you talk to the commissioners about what you found.
Well, we found one with Bobcat, Volley Texans, which is gonna run, $117,397.10. Okay, we got another one from Holt, which is gonna run around $140,000, actions, and everything. And then the third one is John Deere, and it's gonna run $147,458. Robert has done some talk to John Deere, keeping his work on, and he will soon stay away from John Deere, so the difficulty is working. Right now, Bobcat can get it to us in 90 to 60 days, they're talking somewhere around 90 days. Everybody else is doing 6 to 8 months.
So this will get the grapple, the front grapple to do the road, the smaller portions of the road, right?
Yes, yes.
And then it'll have it comes with the fork, the slow drum.
Roller,
So it will come with everything what we need as far
Well,
as.
the grapple's the most important part on the roof grapple, right?
that's the plane.
I'm sorry, the plank.
The grapple, so that we go to some of the ditches and pick up brush,
Yes, the grapple's right.
trees and stuff, and you just can't get to any other way.
So here's the planer, I'm sorry, the planer's right, this is the one that you can do smaller sections so that you don't have to take a.
Right. This is a 96 horse with a 60-inch.
That way, if we got like a section that's like the length of this table, we can just take it up as quickly as we can blacktop.
And with the oil and sand and the, mixture of, wrap, putting that together, putting it down and rolling it, is that gonna be better than what we're doing? Right now, we're just letting customers, or not say customers, constituents run over to it. And so do you feel like this will help?
Oh, yeah, it can't
hurt.
It's a bus.
Versatile.
We'll use it for a lot of different other things other than just that.
Well, the thing is now is if you want to do a small section, you have to take the blade, and it's hard to do a smaller section, you would just.
Not necessarily, I mean, you can stop and start at any point.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're gonna be a little wider than what you want, but.
But you won't have to
That's
haul
not-
as much big equipment out.
Right.
Do we have the funds to do the?
We'd have to take that out and then just make it.
Well, we got money still, don't we?
Yeah, you still have 250,000 in contingencies that could be moved to the road equipment.
And then what are we gonna do?
That's a $250,000 contingency goes to road. We just make use of road materials.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to take it out of there.
What do we have?
You roll that
And
over
road
there.
equipment, you have 39,000. Later on here, a couple more items, you're gonna have that extra money from the windmill project that,
Could do that.
What about
Use
that,
it.
Tasha, what about that 100,000 that we sold we had to do a budget to move that over?
we would have to do a, certification through revenue on that because in order to get it into the expense line.
Where did we put that money?
It goes in, it went into a revenue surplus line.
So we could move that back into the equipment line for road and bridge.
We would just have to, on the next meeting, we would just do a budget amendment.
And if we did that with the 39 we had, we're putting the contingency right
Correct. Now, like I said, here shortly, the next few items, I have it where I'm putting the money, the difference for the precinct 2. We're gonna put,
That's the difference in the contract and what they pay.
there. Yeah, so it's around 300,000.
254. 254. I have that going into contingencies because I didn't know where we
But
would
we
need
got
to
some
use
of
it.
that coming back too, because one of the roads we did, and it's just gonna be there.
Right, and I don't have that one figured in yet.
So
This
it'll
is
be a
just
little bit
strictly.
more than 254.
So if we add that to the contingencies in road and bridge,
Yes,
then we
because
can take this out and still not harm our amount that we have there.
yes.
And we can actually not take any action on this, go do the other, and then come back to this item. You wanna do that? Or.
Either way, I mean,
It doesn't make a
it doesn't
difference.
make, I mean, because right now, all you're doing is approving whether you want to buy it.
Okay.
Well, we had the money in contingency,
You
so
have
we
the
can wait
money.
to prove it But then the defense is gonna build right back up.
Yes. And then what we'll do is that if that's what you wanna do, then on the next meeting, I will, have on there a budget
I just wanna make
transfer
sure we still,
to move it to the equipment line for whatever amount we need to cover the cost.
I'd like to see us still leave at least $300,000 so we can contingency, so we can get to the typical August push where we're.
Towards the end of the year.
We have that for materials.
So I'll make a motion that we, or give this to Bobcat, right? That we, go ahead and, give Road and Bridge, you go ahead and order the Bobcat with all the attachments. What needs to be moved, contingencies. Another $117,397.10.
I'll second
We
that.
have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And just for the record, that was me involved through the board. Okay. Next item, discuss take action on making the courthouse maintenance position a full-time position. What that's all about is, the lady that Paul, I may have Paul to address this too, but if I understand correctly, we're having a tough time finding a part-time person to come up here and work. So I asked Paul, I said, what else do we use that person for? One thing I didn't realize is that Paul is going to all the outside places and clean once a week, right, Paul?
Most of them, we go to Coolidge every other week.
Coolidge every
week.
Limestone,
Yes.
Mahia.
Go to Judge Hannah's office.
But anyway, that's always been tough because that's something that our chief maintenance guy having to go clean. And anytime that for whatever reason, we don't get trustees, actually, he's cleaning. Whereas he could be working on other projects that we have here in the courthouse. So, one of the things that I'm asking is that this lady that's working right now, would actually one day a week go and clean those places. Actually, once a week, clean all of them. We could make Coolidge every week too.
We could.
And that way, we get some stuff done. This is just something that I'm asking that we do simply to, help our maintenance people out and also be able to find someone to clean the courthouse. Y'all be shocked how hard it is to find someone who's just part-time that would come clean on a regular basis like we do. And so financially, I don't know if Natasha's had a chance to figure that yet, but it's, she works 25 hours, right? Or
Round about, yes.
around 25 hours, so it'd be,
Moving to 40.
moving to 40. So that'd be, another 15 hours a week. You're talking, if I can do the math real quick.
We could also be adding
With
health insurance.
Health insurance, retirement, the taxes going up, everything for her to be a full-time. If you keep her at the rate she's at now, you're looking at about 15,000 to finish
Or to finish this year.
because there is a little bit of money still left in his line for what is normally budgeted, because of the change in employees that he's had this year. So, it's roughly about 15,000 extra that he would still need to cover. And that would take care, like I said, of everything, that add her to the insurance for the next 14 pay periods if we started it now.
Paul, since you've been here, how many have we had? We've had quite a few.
She is the fourth one. I've been here almost 4 years.
And you're really happy where you are right now with her?
Yes, she's a very good worker. She comes in, clocks in, and goes to work.
Would we need to move that 15,000 today? Or would that be a budget amendment we would do when we drive it out, so to speak, in July or August?
There's still some money in there. He has about 8,000 that would cover for right now, so we could wait just a little while. Whenever it starts getting closer, then we can move the difference.
Move it out of the line.
Mhm.
What's that gonna make her annual salary to?
She's at 14 an hour,
Okay.
so
14 times 28. 14 times 28, whatever that is. I just know that there's been times when I've needed maintenance and they're included cleaning. And I thought, man,
It's probably not good use
Right.
of false time.
For what I'm getting paid and I'm busy cleaning toilets.
Can she make those doors in my head?
No.
Well, I know how hard it is to find help. I mean, it's extremely hard, so if you've got a good one, I think we need to hold on to it. So I would make the motion that we go ahead and move her to full-time, to help out.
We do have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any other discussion on it? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, let's keep rolling here.
That's only if you paint the doors. That's only if you paint the doors on the
Okay,
That's a right job.
Paul's here also right now, to, basically for this reason here, and that's discuss and take action on the county vehicle use policy. I know that right now we allow several people to take vehicles home. I originally told Paul that he couldn't take his vehicle home, but then he's up here every weekend, seems like, or every night doing something. It's not, really not fair for him not to get to take a vehicle home. So I made the decision, personally, to say, look, go ahead and take the vehicle home then. I think we just need to make sure Natasha wanted this to be on the agenda because of our policy.
Because of our policy and then what the policy says, he's now gonna be taxed. It's $30 a pay period, but in order to change his, for payroll purposes,
Right.
we need to have an approved record of it. And so
Do
it's,
you have any problems with that policy?
Maybe not.
And I think we need to do that, you know, I'm joking about the doors in my head, but the deal on the doors in my head is that he cannot paint them during the week with so much traffic on it now. And they're in horrible condition, they stand out on the wall like crazy, it's just nasty. I still string tape to them, but anyway, make a long story short, he's gotta wait till a weekend, so he's gonna have to go up there himself on a Saturday or Sunday weekend, prop those doors open and paint. And, you know, you need to have the kind of vehicle to do it.
And that's small potatoes. He
Yeah,
gets
that's
called-
something.
He gets called out all week long.
Yeah.
So,
The jail operates 24/7, and I never know when they're gonna call and say, we got a crew.
There's a deal, you
Air
have it.
conditioning or whatever.
okay,
Yeah, make a motion that we allow them to use the vehicle,
Okay.
finding that we change whatever we need to change on this base.
motion,
Second.
second, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right, let's continue on and do discuss take action on a salary adjustment change. This is Limestone County Forestry Center. This is a certification pay to a master's certification. This is one of the things that we did some time ago, or at least at the last budget, to try to help retain our officers. And so, anybody have any thoughts about that? So we have a motion and a second. Any other? Well, we're in discussion right now.
Let's get 20, but
Okay. As far as the one, item number 21, we do have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right, I was gonna leave this to last, but no, I just skipped. I just skipped.
When he pointed it out, I was trying to down the line.
It's hard to keep me straight. Okay, item number 20 is discussing and take action on the law enforcement vehicles. We do have some extra vehicles available. I know I've asked for one for our IT department. Murray has got a couple of Tahoes right now, I think, and the idea is, do we want to donate those to the city of Groesbeck?
To the fire department.
Anything to the fire department?
Yes, sir. The city of Groesbeck Fire Department, knew that we were having some surplus vehicles. They made a comment about trying to get one because whenever they respond to some of the calls, all they have is the big trucks to drive and their cost and the availability of drivers and all that. So they were looking for a smaller vehicle to help respond, to go to some of the, if you listen to the radio, they respond to stuff all day long. It can be as simple as lift assistance for somebody who's falling and needs help getting up. It would be going to minor things that be coming out if somebody has stitches on the head or whatever, where they go and assist the EMS. So we have 3 Tahoes that are really high mileage, that were the first 3 we were starting to rotate out. they've been sitting there. A couple of them have different issues. Judge spoke up for one, asking for one for the IT department. So we're in the process of trying to get it ready and taking all the emergency equipment off. With the other two, you could take both of them and work together and have one really, really good vehicle probably. And it would save the county from having the expense of taking all the equipment off. Because in order for us to sell those old Tahoes, we have to take the lights off, the radio out, the siren out, the grills off. We have to take anything off that makes them look like a law enforcement or an emergency vehicle. So with the cost we could save on doing that and transferring them to the fire department, that equipment's only made for that year model Tahoe, which we don't have anymore because now they're in all later year models. So we would have to take it off and store it and then try to do something with it also. So if we can take those two, let the fire department have them, I mean, it would benefit them and it would benefit us. We still have some other vehicles we're going to sell. That I think would be able to help out on the revenue side. I think the other ones, I don't think would work out that well on the sale by the time we dismantle them.
With the maintenance issues on them, even though we would be giving them two, we really just give them one, because they're gonna have to.
Correct.
Move the transmission or.
I think the transmission's okay. One of them, the front bumper, which is like $1,200, we've had to replace several of them every time you hit a pig or a deer. One of the vehicles has the bumper that's messed up, the other one vehicle doesn't. One vehicle has the seat that when you're sitting in them, almost all police vehicles, where your duty gear rubs up on the seats and put holes in the seats and tears the seat. One has good seats, one doesn't. So you could take both of them,
Just make one good.
and then they could use it. That would help their budget. That would help them on what they would need and give them vehicle there and relieve us of those and help out on that work.
Hey, for the record, Westlake asked for one also. However, they've recently gotten a vehicle from somewhere. And my concern was, well, if you get to one, well, how do we determine there's 11 different volunteer fire departments, how do you determine which one we're gonna give one to? But I think, for the people that have asked, I really only had two to task, so I guess squeaky wheel may get that grease.
You've done a good job of taking care of the volunteer fire department stuff. I'm okay with giving them your
Okay.
if you're not used to work. This is for the Rosebud, correct? Yeah. I make a motion that we allow them to take the vehicles.
Two of them?
Two of them. The two that they'll have to combine and make one.
Okay. We do have a motion. We do have a motion. I think it's gonna die for lack of a second here. Okay. Well, it'll die for lack of a second.
Go ahead.
Let's go ahead and go forward then on that. I'll tell you,
What about the one for IT?
the one for IT, that's still in the county. I don't think we have to do that, do we? We have to approve it.
Because I'm moving our asset from one location to another location.
All right, let's talk about this real quick before we do have a motion in a second. We don't have a second, I'm sorry, we do have a motion. Let's talk about this just a little bit further. These are two 300,000-mile vehicles. What year are they, bro?
2011.
2011. And if I understand correctly, y'all don't want to give these to anybody then, is that correct?
I do.
I know you do, but the rest of y'all don't want to do that. Y'all want to try to sell them?
Well, like, for instance, the senior citizens, they are needing like some other secondary vehicle as far as for meal deliveries and things like that. We've been having a whole lot of issues. And so I just want to be careful as far as, I don't have a problem at all, and I appreciate all the volunteer fire departments, what they do, but I guess there's other entities.
I would not think this would be one of those. I would not want my meal to rely on one of these vehicles. to be honest with you. But that being said,
Well, is it too late for me to?
no, I just want to make sure that we understood what we were doing. And let's go ahead and,
Or can I
would
say?
you mind amending your motion to get the two and then to transfer the one to the judge's office, to the IT department, I mean?
Sure. I'd like to amend my motion, that we give the two vehicles, the 2011, the 300,000 miles to the Groesbeck Volunteer Fire Department, and then one vehicle to transfer to IT.
Okay. That being said, now then we have a second.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Any discussion?
Let's go with discussion.
Okay. I'm good with this, but I do want it to kind of be on record that we're not really giving them two vehicles. We are, but they're going to end up with one vehicle.
Correct.
Because of the condition of the two vehicles. They're not, one's not really any good without the other to combine.
Correct. If you put both of them together and you take a part here and take a part there, it works out. When we were looking at the vehicles, and like I was telling the judge, one of the vehicles, the door panels are messed up, the other vehicle they're not. One has the bumper missing, one doesn't. One has one issue, the others don't. But in order for us to sell them, we have to take both cages out, we have to take the radios out, we have to take all the equipment out, we have to take all that out. With going to the fire department, we can remove one cage, take the graphics off. That saves the money and time and effort of trying to get all that stuff off and then transfer them over.
I wanted it to be obvious to everybody that we're not giving Groesbeck two cars
Correct.
and not giving anybody else one, or why are we giving Groesbeck one and Coolidge one or Hale one or somebody else?
And, you know, over the years, we've always, when we've had excess vehicles, we've sent them to different parts of the county. I think some of them have gone to Road and Bridge, some of them at the courthouse. The one that we're replacing now is one of our old vehicles. I think Matt had one that was one of our old vehicles. The courthouse DA's office used to have one that was one of our old vehicles. So when we have some vehicles that they're worth salvaging, we've taken them and we've given them to Road and Bridge.
I think it's just a perception of us giving two to the
Correct.
same person.
Correct. I think with both vehicles, you could make one that would be reliable and give you some parts that would help maintain it and keep it going. But I do not, the intent is not to have both of them on the road at the same time.
Do you have a motion, do you have a second, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, let's continue on now, make sure I stay on pace. Discuss and take action on, engagement letter for December, 31st. Evaluation, OTED evaluation, and I'm assuming this is, Natasha, you're the one that put this on, correct?
Yes, we do this every year. This is a company that GRS, that they do was, the OPB is the other post-employment benefits. They figure out, like, for the retirees and stuff, they have to do an actuarial every year. And it's part of our audit. When we get audited each year, we have to use their report to give to our outside auditors. And it just shows what liability we're gonna have for our retirees in the coming years, in the coming budget. We have a master agreement with them that was signed a few years ago, and this is just part of that master agreement that we, it's just an engagement letter for the time period of the December 21 for fiscal year 22 and 23. And the charge is, what they will bill us for doing the work is gonna be the $9,095.
That's in the budget.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
But because it's an engagement letter, it's a form of a contract, and so we put it on the budget to have it approved every year.
I move we approve the engagement letter.
Okay,
Second.
motion and a second, any other discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item 23, discuss take action, on a new revenue, from the acceptance of the donation of the mutual assistance group, that's from MAG. That's the money that we got from, the windshield, bulletproof windshield, right?
And the deal was, when we got it last year, we were in the middle of finalizing the budget, and this did not get actually put into the budget for them to use. I talked to Murray, they, found some windshields that they would like to try to go ahead and get ordered, and so,
This is primarily for record.
yes.
That we, have this money. that we're actually gonna increase our budget by this much and our revenue and expenses by this amount.
Yes.
Make a motion that we accept the 59.5 into the donation and accept it into the budget.
I'll second that. Motion and a second, any other discussion on this item? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, discuss take action on new revenue from the acceptance of Hubbard Wind LLC precinct 2 road repair agreement. As y'all know, we came before you. We were able to get the agreement from them that we could get extra money. I think Natasha said we're around 250, but it may be a little bit more than that. What she needs to do is to be able to put that into our budget, and you're gonna put that into contingency, correct?
The excess, yes. I created a new expense line just specific for the project, so we could keep track. Also a new revenue line, but then the excess of from what his bid was, what we accepted, I'm just rolling it into contingencies. That way it could then be moved where you need it.
So moved.
Second. We do have a motion second, a little bit of discussion here. He's after the rock part of it. I think all the rock roads are done. He's wanting to know if there's any way you can check, in person rather than, mailing it to him. So I think he has to pay some people. So if at all possible, please help him if you can.
I'll let the treasurer's office know as soon as the meeting's over.
We do have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, let's go ahead then and talk about, well, we've got one more. Or that this one. Okay. Discuss take action on Lancaster County procurement purchasing policy and procedure manual. I was able to sit down with our old policy and procedure manual and came up with a new one. I think the problem that we had in the past was primarily the auditor's office, and some of the rub that I was experiencing was the auditor's office was still looking at it as if at one point in time they were the procurement office, where our purchasing office. And so I went in and worked on some of it. The auditor has looked at it. She made some recommendations on a couple of typos that you have at your place. Past that, it's something that I feel comfortable about. And hopefully it'll solve some of our heartache within the county. I hope y'all had a chance to look at it. But I'm recommending that we go forward with this new purchasing policy and procedure manual. And also let you know that I am working on a new, I'll say the word per diem policy, because for lack of a better word, but our travel, I think we really need to fine tune that. That's something that's always been kind of a headache for everybody. Purchase policy and procedure, do we have any recommendations on that?
Judge, it's well written and all done, but these figures that Natasha, I think you talked about, have they been changed on what we're fixing to adopt? They are correct.
Yes, there was a sheet at your,
Yeah, I had a sheet at your place.
a one page.
And basically, one of them was, we did, I had, the bid amount was less than the 50,000, he did 50,000, and another was, just where I wasn't overlapping a couple of things.
Judge, thank you for doing this. Things clarify a lot and it makes it easier for us and Natasha. I move that we accept the new Johnson County purchasing policy for 70.
Have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right.
You have to read it. I don't know who you hired to write it.
Let me tell you something. Not only did I do this, I actually typed it. Isn't that right? I actually typed it now.
We're not raising your salary. Let's go to the next.
We will entertain a motion to raise the judges. All right, next item on the agenda is something that we've got to really get started on here pretty soon. It is the American Rescue Plan Workshop. As y'all know, we received around $2.2 million last year. We're going to be receiving another 2.2 within the next month or so, maybe 2 months. When this originally came out, the Treasury Department sent out a long list of, what you couldn't spend this money on. Primarily, we could spend it on, infrastructure, primarily, for sure, the broadband, and I think water was about one of the only other things that we could really look at. It was real tight. I jumped the gun like I always do, and I had a meeting of all of our water supply corporations throughout the county, because I just knew, well, we're gonna get, we're gonna have a lot of folks here to, that could be getting some money, and I said, hey, what do y'all need? What can I do? What can the county do to help y'all out? We've got this money, it needs to be for infrastructure. And like they did on the Corona Relief Fund we got, they came in and said, you can just about spend it for anything you want now. Under $10 million payment. And that's us. So not only do I question us paying GrantWorks, the $214,000 we're gonna pay them, which I haven't signed a contract yet, or y'all haven't approved it yet, is that what you understand too?
Right, you have to sign the contract before it's.
I haven't signed a contract with them, and I asked them, what would y'all charge us to keep us legal on our reporting and maybe look over a little of it for us, but they haven't got back to us, but I know it won't be the 214,000, I would think. So right now, we've got to decide what are we gonna do with the money. Every water district, and the fear was that we didn't want it to happen ever again if we could prevent it from what happened, last year during our snow day, when we actually lost power, we lost water to almost, I think Rosebeck was basically about the only city around it that had water. And what can we do to help out? And I got requests from every department, frankly. Now then, we could use it for roads, and equipment, and whatever we want to use it for, basically. I just don't know the direction that we want to go. We have Brent Locke here, who's the Boston Municipal Water Supply, and Brent Locke services around 14,000 people, either directly or indirectly, through the city of Mahia, through some different water supply corporations. And I know Brent is asking that we at least try to find about 105,000 thereabouts for a generator for the Prairie Hill. And not only that, but if I understood correctly, we could buy it, keep it here, use it as we need it, and if we ever needed it, we'd be able to let you have it. And that was what you're thinking, right?
Yeah, either that or we can flip it around, we'd be responsible for the daily maintenance on it to start and keep the battery alive and things like that.
Did you need two instead of one?
You really need two, but again, if I could address the issue a little broader, Richard,
Okay.
is the mandate that all of these water companies got from Austin. The answer to the power grid from Austin was SB3. And SB3 basically pushed on a bunch of mandates on water entities to not allow this to happen again. Most of them is gonna have some type of power generation to meet that requirements. To give you an idea, just the complexity, this report is Firestone's report on the SB3 requirements that was due March 1st. It's filled with all kinds of stuff that we had to research to provide to them. This now is in front of TCEQ. If we do our homework and if it's approved, then it goes to the PUC. And then maybe we finally get an adopted plan that we have to implement by the end of June. As Richard's well aware, being the past mayor, have you noticed the budget cycle here, folks? We never got to have a budget period again. We come in our budget just like y'all have to. Also, but my point is, all this is unfunded mandates placed on every water entity, not just Firestone, not just City of Mahia, or Rosebeck, or Whitelaw, or Wayne Enterprise. Every one of them had to do that report. So all of them are going to face these expenses, and they had no warning that they're gonna have to do it. So that's why I still think it would sure be nice if the county government could help. None of us in this whole room wants to face what we all did. I mean, everybody from Road and Bridge, they helped us very well get fuel when we couldn't get fuel, get tractors, places we couldn't get tractors. So we all want to make sure that doesn't happen. So, and as I have written, there's never been an emergency that required so much help of the county government to get through it. Think about how much stuff y'all did, how many trying hours y'all spent trying to get water into our county. So if we can prevent that with this money, that is a free gift from the federal government of all of our taxes that we pay, of course. But my point is, if we can do it and do it in a way that's, I would sure ask that y'all very carefully consider that, because it can mean a huge amount. And power is always the issue that water departments are chasing during an emergency. Just that simple. So I would ask that y'all please try to get the water departments in some fair and equal. Thank you for your time.
One of the things also is the broadband. I think y'all all heard from schools, recently that the state of Texas is gonna be generating funds to help with the broadband program.
I talked to yesterday, because she's the one that spoke from Jackson County, I think that's Edna, Texas. The county judge is Jill Scott, and she went to a meeting yesterday, called me last night, I asked her to call me after she went to the meeting. For your benefit, April the 4th is the one in Wake Up. I don't know if you've got notice of that or not, but, it's the actual, Hagar is putting on these things around Texas, and it's about broadband. The money is coming from the federal government, but it's coming to the states instead of like it came to us or the city of Mahab on this last deal for broadband, and broadband only. But it's gonna be like a grant that the state will give, and it's gonna be a 25% matching grant. Now, that's what she found out. You know, everybody needs more broadband for Sunday nights, and all of us were there and heard that lady speak. They had 3 speakers in reference to this, one for under 10 and one for over 10, one Tarrant County, which also didn't apply to us. But she recommends after meeting, and then you're gonna know some more on April 4th, if you go to that meeting and Wake Up. She recommends that we hold about 300, in our case, if we can do it for me, we hold about $300,000 of this 4.4 million for broadband, knowing we're gonna get this up. Now, as April 4th rolls around and we get a little further into it, they're modifying it every day, just like this other was. And if it looks like we're not gonna get broadband coverage till 2026, but get back to the dates. I mean, I know we're discussing it now, and we're probably going to have more workshops, but we don't have to make any commitment of what we do until December of 24. That's a long ways away.
Right. But the problem is you gotta have it done by,
Yeah. Well,
after that.
Yeah.
You have to-
December 23rd is when we need to have our projection. And then December the 26th is when we have to be completely spent up. So that's 3 or 4 years away.
And to give y'all an idea, Steve Dabney, y'all all know Steve Dabney. That map up there, if you ever get a chance to look at it, I'll put it up there for y'all's benefit. He has shown how many actual areas that he was recommending before we knew about this. He's got us at about, 10 to 12 towers at about $1 million total. And that would put, I mean, that covers everything. And then we have another tower, Matt's not here, we have another tower in Mart that, just inside of Mart we could use, so.
And we would be able to use our other things on that tower, correct?
Yes, they'll belong to us.
But the state came in and gave us a grant of $700,000, we were out 250. So if we hold back $300,000 or $400,000, we're not gonna have spent all that money
by December 26th. But this could go in and we can.
We were saying something at the meeting too, is that we should not go by our maps, they should go by the state maps, so I don't know.
Yeah, the IMAX will not, they will not use
Yeah, they won't, they said don't waste your money.
to get the grant money.
This was already done.
Yeah, that, well, that's
Right. And several people, I think, already done theirs too.
And that's something we could also look at, if the state map is not gonna, I know it's a lot of money, but frankly speaking, I hate to spend the state's money giving it to us if it's not gonna take care of the people in those rural areas.
Well, and Jill said she also got from that meeting that if you've already done something, you haven't done it in vain, because you take it to the state in your grant application, showing this is what we can do, and this is what we're applying for. And they can okay your own map, but our map is not hard, and they would have to adjust it or agree with it or whatever to make it their map. But that money's gonna actually come from the state of Texas, but it's gonna be federal money that comes from the state.
So let me, the main reason I had this on the agenda was that I spent, I'm not gonna say hours, I spent a lot of time trying to divide up the money originally by, and I know one of the arguments has always been that the cities aren't the county. That's just not true. The cities did get some money, if they applied, and I made sure they all applied, all except I think Walker applied. But I went to every city and visited with them about how they're gonna apply for this American Rescue Plan. So they are getting money. I originally went in and took the population of the entire county of cities, and I had it all divided out. I mean, I even called and got the meters, how many every meter we had. It was very painstaking. Of course, now they're saying, what I need to ask y'all is, what's your thoughts about trying to help out the water districts? And it may only be that we can help them out X number of dollars, and then, I'm sorry, but that's all we can do for you. Do y'all want to pledge a certain amount, and I'll start working on that amount then?
Judge, let me ask you this question. And I thought about this the other day. And I've had people kind of in my ear about it. You know, I first was initially because City of Mahia, for example, got $1,000,000 that we don't need to be on the City of Mahia. Or City of Grove, because of it. But what if we took all the meters, gave money to each department based on the meters, equally to everybody, but we do that figure at a low enough per meter basis that we're not issuing all the money we're gonna spend on water. Now, let's just pull a figure out there. Let's say we're gonna spend 1.5 million on water. Let's just that figure. We end up giving everybody, give out about maybe 600,000 of it or whatever based on meters. And then we go on a need basis for the balance of that money. And I'm not speaking out of turn because this came from the general manager. Brent knows these figures. Example is Robert Murphy runs White Rock and Point Enterprise. We tell you up front that White Rock may be using a generator, and if we buy 2 generators and put them at Brent's place and they're usable everywhere, and they just maintain them, that would solve that. But he said Point Enterprise needs nothing. He said White Rock's got like $2 million in the bank and has no needs. Shiloh, for example, and I don't say this because I live in Shiloh, this is just the truth. Mahia, at this point, would love to get Shiloh off their, Shiloh taps Mahia water. And the last time they had about 227 meters, and that obviously changes every day. But Mahia was having to satisfy TCEQ, correct me if I'm wrong, TCEQ is looking at what Mahia is servicing and saying, hey, you're not getting enough capacity to service all these meters. So if we get Shiloh off of Mahia, turn around and tap them back onto, basically probably out on the same road, close to the same spot, tap them on to Bystone. Bystone's happy with that. Mahia's tickled to death to get them off of them, so we've assisted both of them. And Shiloh buys their water direct from Bystone. To do that, they're the poorest water district. They have purchased a tract of land next to their current plant, and they need to put another tower or another tank in or storage facility.
Well, that's when we would go almost like kids applying scholarship that are need basis. It's not based on whether you do a valedictorian, you have a need. I think the two water districts with the most need, from what I understand, and I'm sure there's others with need, and they have to just apply for the rest of that money, would be Shiloh and is it South?
With SLC.
Yeah, SLC.
Because currently, right now, as far as new growth coming into the county, they're not issuing any new meters.
And they need to.
Right, they need to.
And right now, I would say this, and I think I'm 100% accurate, as far as percentage of growth, the Shiloh Water Board is issuing no more new meters. In other words, they have 227, they're giving 10 a month, or whatever, and they're doing it, there's stuff going on all over, which adds to our tax base. If somebody goes out and builds a $400,000 home on a piece of ag land, it's a big difference to the county. But that way, we could give everybody some of the money and then save a certain amount to allocate it on an ass minute. That's just my idea about the water portions,
I guess
which is kind of what you've done already.
it is. The only thing that I disagree with, and I'll lose this, I want to lose it right now, is that I live in the city of Mahia. On January 31st, I pay taxes. Guess what one of the taxes were? County taxes.
I'm getting into the city too now.
Okay, I thought you weren't.
No, I'm saying.
And the reason I said that is we all kind of get elected based on people that vote in the county. Part of that's the city. That's always been a sore spot, with cities.
What do you get from the county?
What do I get from the county? Now, you do get a lot. You get a great judge and some commissioners. But frankly speaking, you do get a lot. We get clerks, our sheriff's department, even though
You can't die, get married.
the county, he goes in and helps the cities too. I know he does. So,
No, Judge, let me correct something.
I'm okay then. I thought you were saying.
No, I'm saying on the initial part of the water.
Yeah.
That we find out how many leads Groesbeck got, Harris got, Costa got,
Let's do
Lewis got,
this.
Shallow's got, everybody. And on the initial part, we issue so much that eats up X amount of money. And then the other amount that we put for water, we come back and do it on as need. If Shallow applies for $250,000, we look on an as need basis.
So my question is gonna be, of the 4.4 million, how much do you wanna give to that?
That's what we want to figure out in the workshop.
That's what I've got. To start working towards what we're gonna do. I was trying to get an idea from y'all how much you want to spend. And what I had done, I had taken the previous 2.2 and kind of made it water and broadband, or water, and then the second will be broadband. So we're gonna have quite a bit of money that we can do some stuff in Limestone County with.
Well, if we've accomplished anything here today, how do y'all feel about setting, to be real liberal with the initial figures, set 400,000 aside for broadband, waiting on the grant money that's coming. So that's gonna take us to doing $1 million broadband, which we originally thinking about doing. We only gonna allocate 400,000 because we're going, should get a grant for 75% on this new money coming just for broadband only.
I think that's rich. but-
Well, maybe it's 300,000.
Yeah, let's make it 300.
All right.
I feel pretty comfortable we can get it for $1 million, that's what.
Well, and then we only will have a 25% match on that new money.
Okay, so let's 300 for that. Now, how much are y'all wanting to spend on water? You want to try to do?
If it's gonna be what figure we come up on per meter basis as to what we give out to everybody.
But that's what I'm trying to figure out, Bobby. I can either, at some point in time, we gotta say, okay, we're gonna put 1.5 million into shoring up the water throughout the county.
Okay, let's just start with
What
that.
exactly is a water department meter?
Oh, well,
Generators?
let me tell you something. When I asked them to respond to me, I got everything from a $10 million holding system to, I made a mistake of saying, what do you need? Just tell us and
What do you want?
We've got to come up with that top figure. If it's 1.5 million.
Yeah.
Then we figure how much we need to give on per meter basis to use up.
That's right.
700,000 of
I'm just trying to figure out how much we wanna say that we'll give in the water, if it's
How much would you,
1.5 million?
does anybody have an idea of what South Limestone needs dollar wise?
I've talked to them a million times and they need everything.
Robert, you walked in late, what we're talking about is to take so much for water and taking a portion of that and give it out equally to everybody based on everybody. But leaving, say, 700,000 to be allocated on a need basis. For example, Point Enterprise, no need, basically, White Rock, no need, but Shiloh, a need. What would that need be, just out of curiosity? Now, don't panic. Let's say you initially on the per meter basis get $40,000 or $60,000. How much more would you need on the, I'm the brokest, I need money to do this tower so that we can get off Mahia and get on Bystone and be self-sufficient?
Probably close to 200,000-300,000.
Okay, so if we had 7 and we ended up with 4 applications on the, as need, on the need basis, I mean, we wouldn't consider Mahia, in my opinion, we wouldn't consider Mahia, Groesbeck, Coolidge, Tig, Coffee.
Right.
On the need basis. And they all got money from the government too, but we've given them some because we give them meters. And then let's say South Limestone and Shiloh, and another one or two say, hey, I need 150,000 more plus what you gave me, I need $200,000 more. And I prefaced all this by saying, look, I live in Shiloh, but I mean, that doesn't have anything to do with this. There's a general man, there's Bystone manager, and there's the general manager of 3 of our water districts in the county.
One of the biggest is Post Oak.
Well, that's what I'm saying, we may have 4.
They have probably more meters than most.
Post Oak.
Yes.
Thought they were in.
Half of it is. Half of it's Prairie Hill and half of it's Post Oak. I mean, it's.
But we're not the only ones that need.
No, but not everybody, once we give everybody money,
You got South Limestone water supply up here at the bridge, they got 1,500 meters. So now you're talking about the way you're gonna distribute it, they're gonna get 7 times the amount of money you're gonna hand Shiloh.
initially, that's just initially.
Mhm.
Then
Well, that's what I'm saying.
we're gonna have more money for water that we're going to give to, this is all just talk.
Sure.
I'm not gonna,
Sure.
we say we had 1.5 million allocated for water. We gave out 750,000 based on meters.
Mhm.
You know, and City of Mahia gonna get more than anybody because we have the most meters. And then we're gonna take the other 750 and we're gonna say, okay, Shiloh has a need, we're gonna write you another check for 250 plus what you got on the meter. And we're not writing the check.
I understand, but all of this is because of the water loss during the freeze. That's what this is about.
That's right.
So what has been, okay, we were down for 10 days. Rolled from Bystone down to us.
But let's be.
How long was South Limestone down and for what reason were they?
Let's be clear about one thing. The city of Mahia, Shiloh, all of them were down because of Bystone.
I understand that, I'm trying to make a point.
Navajo Valley.
If you got Post Oak,
I'm not saying because Bystone did something wrong, but I'm saying of all the people, the 14,000 people, you're talking about Shiloh was part of that 14,000?
that wasn't the point I was getting at. My point is, you are trying to figure out how to allocate money to help the water supply stay in the state.
Yes.
Okay? You said Post Oak's one of the biggest points. How long has Post Oak out of water? What is their supplier? And why were they out of water? So what do they need? South Limestone, why were they out of water? They were out of water because of generators only. They had a water supply. Our supply is Bystone. I mean.
And you can't be like, we're gonna buy generators.
I understand that, but you can't generalize how you're gonna improve the water supplies because they were all down for different reasons. Some of them were down for power, some of them were down because of power at the lake, but they had their water supply. Our water supply was Bystone. So you're trying to generalize why everybody was down and they were all down for different reasons. That's supposed to not even been
No,
there.
if we had $10 million, we wouldn't worry about that.
Right.
So what we're trying to do today is figure out how much money are we gonna say, we're gonna spend this much on water?
Mhm.
And then how do you make it fair? I promise you, if I had, any of the other water districts in here right now, they'd be arguing just as hard as you should.
Sure. Sure, I
Why
understand
they need a certain amount, but we only have so much dollar, and that's what I'm
Well,
trying to figure out.
that. Understand that.
It might not be a bad idea for each commissioner to get with your water districts that y'all have in your precincts. And I don't know if that's gonna be fair or unfair to some of you. And kind of get an idea of not, first off, I think we need to decide how many we got. That's where I'm at. I can do tons of math to figure out meters, I can do all that. I just need to know how much y'all want to spend on water. Whether it be water, generators, whatever it's gonna take for each department, that's what I need to figure out. And we're getting 4.4 million.
So if we, with the generators that we need to purchase, how much are the best generators that you're talking about the two we would need?
Well, give you all an idea, we installed a fixed generator at this occurred on our largest well. The district spent about $80,000 installing the generator, all the equipment necessary. It's in place, paid for by Boston Water District, because we had the money and had the need. This requires, this plan, I'm saying, every water department has to have in, should have had in on March 1st. Mandates 2 more portable generators. In this plan, there's my letter to y'all, and it's also a statement that we've requested the funds for those 2 portable generators that Boston needs to meet this report. So my focus back to y'all might be, don't get the general need, but what do you need to comply with the emergency plan mandated by SB 3? We've got this money, we know this is an unfunded mandate from the state of Texas, handed to y'all. Y'all didn't have a chance to build money from rates, it's just, here it is, you must be in compliance by the end of June of this year.
Brent, how much is that portable generator?
Portable generator, in my letter, I believe one of them was 105,000 and one of them was a little bit less.
So 2 portable generators are a couple $100,000,
Right, $200,000.
okay? Do you not think, I guess we really determine what we're doing for water, Judge, is what do we want to keep in our budget for other stuff?
Then
Maybe
maybe
the
we'll
whole
get
story.
Could I
So if you withhold 300,000 for broadband, and you put 2 million into water, then that leaves us $2.1 million to do other things. And that would be a start. Robert, I still want to make sure you understand what we're talking about. And I see what you're saying, that Post Oak maybe gets money and really didn't have any. White Rock's gonna get money for their 700 something meters, but really didn't have any. Based on just a portion of it. Let's say we use 2 million for water. Just a portion of that is gonna go, we'll break that figure down per meter so that we don't use but half of it or 60% of it to branch out to Groesbeck, Tig, I keep that Tig, Groesbeck, Mahia, et cetera. And Shiloh and Point Prize. But then the other we would do, as you just said, the need Shiloh has, the need that South Limestone has. Or Prairie Hill, yeah, I mean, and that's where we would have to have a budget workshops to see, okay, we've got 5 applications here on the need basis, and that adds up to $1.5 million. Well, now we gotta cut each one of you a little to get you there, but, get you there where you can do what you're going. You made a statement to me one time, and it's absolutely true. If we're gonna give you $100,000, sure, you'll take it, but it doesn't allow you to do one thing correctly.
Well, no, it doesn't. I mean, that's, yeah.
I mean, you're gonna own a piece of land that you've already purchased to build your tanks on, but you can't build, because you don't have enough money.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's out of place or whatever, but also need to consider, everybody keeps bringing up Shiloh, and I understand that, Shiloh's a small water supply, and it's not significant to everything else in the county. But what we're talking about with Shiloh significantly affects Bystone and City,
And that's what I said, well,
and they are large portions of the water county. I mean, it benefits them.
I just know more about the Shiloh.
Well,
I think I know more about the South Limestone thing.
Robert, let me ask you this.
Joe knows about this.
Other than the fact that and 2 things we learned one, Brent, and I'm not throwing stones at you, but one, I don't think we need to do maintenance during the winter at our Lake Bahia project. If that had been online, we'd have been in a lot better shape than we were. So, number two, the reason you didn't get water was because the city of Bahia wasn't getting enough water. And so that goes back to Firestone. So it's almost like a ton of what we're talking about goes to Firestone. If Firestone-
We're gonna correct some of that with generators.
That's what I'm saying. But if we're only talking about what kept Robert's customers from getting water, it wasn't something that y'all did or didn't do. Now, to improve what you've got, to be able to have better storage
Okay.
for future, I get all that.
Yeah,
But that's not necessarily something that, some of that will be taken care of by adding new meters and customers to the, but the service has to be there.
good, but
Yeah.
as far as meeting the standards we have to for this freeze, or whatever, SB3, meters are not gonna do it. You're talking about adding 10 meters at Shiloh over the next 10 years, or 5 years, so that, you're not gonna see enough income on a $30 meter to do it. Alone, like Brent's issue, if he's got generators, he's pumping water, sitting there, if I have 200,000 gallons of storage on a 20,000 gallon a system, I can run for 10 days instead of being down for 10 days because I'm storing 40,000.
Even though you're not getting water. from the pipe.
I don't have to get water from it. That's the whole idea. That's their plan. We don't have to get water. We can run on our own for so many days to give them a chance to make repairs or get electricity or whatever. So it does significantly affect us, Firestone and the city of Mahia, because I don't have to draw from them. So that gives more water to the city. It gives Brent less capacity he's got to come up with quickly. So storage is the main issue of all of this. If you don't have more storage, you're not going to improve any of it.
Which is the 250.
That's the $200,000 or $300,000. That's minimum to get us, you know.
Well, bottom line, we argued about that, we discussed about that when it came time, but I think what the judge is wanting is a total figure that we might spend on water. And we can back into it by saying, how much of this 4.4 do we want to keep to do something for ourselves? For the county, for the county. I mean, road, bridge, or law enforcement, or courthouse security, or whatever you wanted to call it. And if that figure's 2 million, then we got 2.4 to work with.
Judge, could I ask one question, please? That's to do with diesel storage. Jerry, if you had red diesel available to your equipment, I said if, separated, done right, would it be a financial advantage to you in your daily road bridge operations?
I would say no, because a lot of our new equipment will not run on the
It's good.
On what?
I'm gonna ask,
good diesel.
because I
They
have
won't run
asked
on.
the judge if there was any way to get some strategic diesel storage within the county government where during emergencies, it can be provided to these generators that are gonna go in, folks. Whether y'all buy them, they're gonna come around, they're gonna make all these entities. For instance, Robert at Shiloh, he's gonna have to put in the generator. Where's he gonna get the money? The generator cost him that particular size. What I was hoping we could do is that Robert doesn't have to buy the generator. Robert buys the manual transfer switch on his pump station. We have 2 generators that the county has bought and become a mutual aid system within the county. That generator goes to wherever the judge who's in charge of all emergencies says, Brent, can you get this generator number X, Y, Z to Shiloh? They need power. See what I'm getting at? That way, all these small entities that think about buying, they got the mandate. Where are they gonna get the money for these generators? He said, well,
Would that generator satisfy the mandate?
yes, if it's, if a
We've
transfer
all been
switch is put in
generating.
to where it can be.
We don't generate, we're not giving them.
I get that, but I didn't know if that would satisfy y'all's.
Right, he can put in his plan that if he can't get power, that he contacts the judge, and the judge sees that they're available. They're already pumping water out of a well that we gotta have for the bigger portions, so no, it's not. We'll see them getting it. That's the kind of common sense approach that this man makes. And there's several different mutual aid systems that you can call upon and things to try to get this done. But the problem last time was we just didn't have enough portable generators the size we need available to the water systems.
And then let me ask you another question. Where are we keeping we're buying red diesel right now. No, we don't buy any red diesel. Okay, good.
It voids the warranty on our equipment.
Okay. So what we have in our tank right now is just regular diesel, not the farm diesel. And so my question is, because we had one of the mayors, one of the cities came out and made a statement that diesel never goes bad. And I thought it probably did, but it's,
I don't like gas, it's just a lot. It gels up, it gets nasty.
how long would it take?
Yeah, you use it before it's
So-
so bad if you use it.
Yeah.
So my question would be, would we need another, we got what, 500 gallon?
Hold on,
What do we have?
we're probably close to 10,000.
Oh, 10,000 gallons, let's show what I know. So we got a 10,000 gallon tank, we don't buy that much at a time, do we?
Yeah, we buy.
So we've always got
Well,
10,000.
you get down to a 3 by 6,000.
Our tanks, we got measurements on our tanks. Once that tank gets down to a foot before it hits the bottom, foot.
Okay, so my question is,
Because what's on the bottom, you're usually gonna have water, trash.
so my question then would be is that come January, every year, we make sure we buy that thing's full.
Yeah, we buy a tank once a month, once every other month. We.
Our 10,000 gallons does for us during the winter.
We'll run, right now, we're running a tank of fuel every month and a half.
Okay, so it might be that we need another tank.
That was, I put
That's
this
what I'm
on,
getting at.
I put in our plan that we were gonna depend on the county for our backup emergency fuel supply during those emergency events. Declare emergency, not buying fuel.
So if we had two tanks, 10,000 gallon tanks, and in winter we kept them both full, then in the summer we could probably drain them down on and get it.
Yeah, we'll be using.
Okay. All right, so if I understand correctly, y'all want to put 300 aside, we're gonna put another around 2 million to go towards water, is that what I'm understanding?
We should leave 2 million for us to,
The 2 million for.
and we still got, 18 months to come up with a final.
So what I'll do is I'm gonna try to get some proposals together. I strongly recommend that y'all get with the water districts in your, area. And I don't want to make this sound bad about SLC. I'm not so sure that they don't need everything in Hollywood. They're in bad, very bad.
I live there, on that water.
Well, and two,
Even our day-to-day water.
we just give you, in my opinion, what we're doing is give you something to work with, so that you have an idea. Now, we get to the end, and for ones y'all don't know, we have to come up with the plans by December 23. We have to, I guess, implement that plan by December 24. We have to finish that plan by December 26. So we got got 18 months where we have to come up with a plan. But when the judge sits down with this $2 billion and does so much a meter and such things a million on just dispersing out the first amount, and then we get to the other million going to water, and we actually have applications for $1.5 million, or $1.25 million, then we adjust and maybe we spend 2.2. But I want to make sure that, just like I said, like when a kid applying to go to college, there's ones that are valedictorian and get scholarships everywhere. You get it based on your merit or your service. And then there's ones that have need. And I want to make sure that we give to everybody and then we give a different balance to the need people.
That's gonna be hard to do, but I promise you, every one of them is gonna have needs.
Well, you know, that's when.
It's not hard to validate what the need is.
Huh?
It's not gonna be hard to validate what the need is, just like SLC. It's all documentation records.
We don't have enough money to meet everybody's need.
Everybody, we'll have enough money to meet everybody's wants.
Let me rephrase that, emergency
I'll
need.
say needs. Needs, because frankly speaking, right now, if Firestone Municipal Water Supply, if we could have had generators to them, I don't think anybody would have been without water. Would you have been without water, Robert?
No power.
No, would you have been without water?
I would have been without water because I didn't have power at my plant.
Okay,
So I would have been without water. Yes. White Rock would have been without water.
So you still need your generator.
but that's generators, that's, we're talking.
You would have had water, but no,
But
you didn't have either.
if I had a generator, I would have been without water until I ran out. And I don't have enough storage to run more than 2 days. So I still would have been without water.
So with a generator, additional storage, you could operate.
Generator and storage, I would not have been without water.
Okay, so right now, if Boston would have provided the water and a generator would have provided the electrical, then my question is, would you have been without water?
Not for like 10 days.
Not for 10 days. I would have been out a short period of time.
Now, another thing, and I know we've talked a lot about what costs and all that, but it really gets down to, and I'm not throwing any stones at them because we all learned in this deal, but Navasota Valley didn't have an emergency plan for like this. And they had no clue that Bystone was down. Now, sure, some of it's called down in Tulsa, but those secretaries had probably direct, don't bring me anything else about all I can do. So even though Judge or somebody would call and tell them, hey, we got this. Now, if you go talk to Navasota Valley, one of the priority lists, if they're down, is the Parish substation to get up Bystone Municipal Water District and furnish water to 14,000. That is now one of their priority mandates. I know they're shutting the gate after the horse is already out, but at least now they have a plan, which they did before, just like ERCOT's got a plan they didn't have before. I mean, we all suffered from, I guess, neglect or not knowing something like that could happen. Just like Brent servicing. I asked Brent, why in the world we were doing Lake Mahia? We were doing Lake Mahia because the wintertime is when you service it, because that's the least time you need water. In summertime is when everybody's watering the yard, that's when you need water. So they serviced it in the wintertime. Well, that didn't work. I mean,
And please don't get focused just on the ice storm. We got emergency potentials in every direction.
oh, tornadoes, yeah.
So, we need to think about all things that could happen to our counties. And the loss of power, though, from the water system perspective, is the big issue we have to get harder better than we've ever been before. If I had asked Hope before this occurred to buy these generators that we bought and put in, I just signed a contract for another $118,000 worth of electrical work, putting in these emergency transfer switches at all these wells where I can take a portable generator and go to them, because SB3 requires that if I'm going to use a portable generator, I have to have those quick connects readily available or I'm out of compliance. So all that stuff's again going to drive the cost to these systems when they really get into providing this report. And as Bobby mentioned, we are critical, identified by both Encore and Navasota as being a critical customer, if you will. But again, as Bobby said, that was after the big emergency caused them to wake up, so to speak. But they've done a really good job. They going down there and spending nearly $3 million worth of right-of-way clearing on Navasota's system, trying to prevent that from recurring because of the ice storm situation.
All right, just so long as the water rate's gonna go up, we're next.
Good luck. Good luck.
Did you hear that? All right.
I heard we put them on Washington Cherry as a special.
Okay, I think, does anyone else want to have anything else on this workshop? I think we're gonna leave it to, meaning what?
We were talking about what we're gonna do with some of this money, and we're talking about a lot of water, but
Yeah, we're gonna have 2.4 million left. No, 2 million. If you spend still water and 300 on broadband, we'll have 2.1 million left.
All right, I wrote that down though. Anybody else have anything that they're looking for, try to spend some money on? This is a heck of a thing to have. Normally we're meeting, trying to figure out how we're gonna pay bills.
I'll take the back for my precinct, my roads.
And, anyway, all right. Last item on the agenda, we don't have to do it, but it's adjourned.
So moved.
Motion is second, any other discussion, all fair say aye. All right, I think I'm. Okay, good luck. Nice to call you. What's your name?